leading the charge to make the 2024 Broker Carrier Summit possible, and we are so excited to have their support. In case you haven't heard, TAFS offers much more than freight factoring. It provides a comprehensive support system for trucking companies of all sizes, specializing in fast and efficient invoice factoring with the ability to pay carriers in as little as 1 hour. And TAF's services go well beyond factoring, offering a fuel card that unlocks major fuel discounts, flexible business loans that are designed to cater to the distinct needs of a carrier's operations, a dedicated, responsive client experience team, and much more. Dawgs Logistics is a 3PL freight brokerage based out of Birmingham. Alabama Black Box Logistics was formed in 2020 by 3 friends, Logan Dyer, William Graves, and Will Hopkins, in a basement office with the goal of bringing transparency around the clock communication and hassle-free customer experience to the table. Multi-service fuel card, the industry's first fuel card, was created by an over-the-road truck driver in 1978 to offer a safe, simple, and cost-effective way to handle fuel and trucking expenses. Initially, it addressed safety concerns of carrying cash on the road. Today, it combats advanced fraud with best-in-class technical and personal support. Sales-CRM is built for freight broker and agent sales teams. Manage your shipper prospecting and follow-ups. Organize your carriers in the lanes they run. HD Ships is a leading logistics provider specializing in sustainable and tech-driven freight solutions. With hubs in Reno, Phoenix, and London, we deliver comprehensive services, including full truckload, expedited cross-border, and intermodal freight. Leveraging proprietary technology, we offer 24/7 tracking, real-time visibility, and advanced automation to ensure safe, compliant, and efficient transportation. Our commitment to sustainability enables clients to offset emissions through carbon credits, aligning logistics with environmental goals. At HD Ships, we prioritize transparency, reliability, and exceptional customer service, empowering clients to achieve seamless, sustainable logistics solutions worldwide.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, man. Happy Friday. How's the week been to you?
It's been good, man. It's flown by. It's hard to believe it's already. Well, it's hard to believe it's almost October and almost Q4. Feels like we were just in Q1, and I was broadcasting from Colombia.
I was going to say it's good to see you in the States. While the week's flown by, it's good to see you not flying away, putting down some roots in Chattanooga.
Yeah, I'm loving it here so far. So weather's not not as hot as Alabama, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's cooling off a little bit. Yeah, so big golf plans this weekend. Got the bug again.
Yeah, got the bug. 36 this weekend, not as much as 72 last weekend, Friday. I think I played last Monday too, so I played 4 days in a row. 72.
Yeah. But you've got a problem.
I do. But yeah, shout out to got a great show coming today. Shout out to our sponsors, Black Box Logistics, Will's company, HD Ships, where I recruit freight agents for, Sales Dash CRM, Freight Specific CRM. Josh is actually moving down to Florida too. Is he moving to the Tampa area?
He's moving to Tampa.
Oh, so I wonder if Chris knows Josh. We'll have to ask him. But Tampa seemed to be like a mini mecca for freight right now. And then our banner sponsor, Taft's Top 10 Factoring Company. They are sponsoring. We were just talking about in the intro. We need to change it to 2025, but they are still sponsoring the Broker Carrier Summit and actively involved in that. Great people over there, Rob and Ryan. And yeah, great rates. And yeah, definitely reach out to them if you're looking for factoring.
Yeah, great group of sponsors. And I do want to backtrack just a little bit because once again, you brushed over. Black Box Logistics was recently named the People's Choice 3PL. It's a freight brokerage out of Birmingham, Alabama. So if you happen to need anything moved, you should reach out, hopkins@shipblbx.com.
Sounds good. I'm sure the emails are going to be flying in here.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Crazier things have happened. Well, yeah, I'm pumped for the show today. I've been following Chris on LinkedIn for quite some time. He has an extensive background in freight. He's done some cool things from being at TQL, having a massive personal book, and now a VP of sales at Zelh, and Black Box uses Zelh for some staffing. And we have had nothing but great experiences with the reps.
Yeah, I've had a chance to talk to Chris on the phone, I think once or twice, and message back and forth. Know some people who know him as well, and just overall great guy with a ton of experience. So it should be really fun to talk to him.
Yeah, man, let's go ahead and bring him on stage. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, good to see you again.
Happy Friday. So it looks nice down there in Tampa today. It's a great view.
It's awful. It's dreary. It's about 30 degrees.
It looks nice with the palm trees from this view, but I can't see it as well.
No, it's a perfect day here in Tampa. Yeah, you can't complain. So
yeah, worst places to be and live.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Will, I apologize for my shirt. I got the Bucs shirt on. I watch your show, and I know the Vic jerseys back there, so I had to represent Tampa. So
man, I'm actually a Saints fan. So
okay, well, it's still the same.
Yeah, well, the Saints we're struggling right now, but we've got some Dawgs. They haven't come out yet. But the Vic jersey, all the stuff, all the sports memorabilia, my gym was having a silent auction. They were setting up as I was in there, so I placed the minimum bid on a bunch of items, thinking, of course, other people are going to bid. But no, I want everything. So my walls, I have Michael Vick signed jersey, I have John Daly signed picture, then a Mike Tyson signed boxing glove. So it's a very wholesome wall. You know, I've got 3 just really wholesome individuals back here.
That's awesome.
Tampa's doing well this year, aren't they? They're 3-0, right? Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. This weekend we've got the Eagles in town, so it's going to be a tough one. But I had faith in Baker, so it should be a good one.
Baker's a dog.
He is 100% a dog.
No question about that. Well, Chris, for anyone who doesn't know you, maybe kind of give us a brief summary. I mean, I know you were at TQL for 15 years. You were, when Will and I were still in school, and probably a lot of people watching this were still in the school. You were out brokering freight, and I'm sure you have a lot of stories from that time period. But love to hear kind of your history of in the industry and obviously to where you're at now.
Sure. Yeah. And before that, I love what Will's building at Black Box. And then Matt, I can't keep up with you on LinkedIn. You're all over the place. It is so consistent and so good. I'm in Columbia, I'm in Minnesota, I'm in Chattanooga. Your consistency and passion for the industry, both of you, think the world of it. So, and same for the guys at Taft's, Rob and Ryan, met them several times. A really great team. So thanks for having me on. As far as my story, I knew nothing about this. I was valeting and bartending in Cincinnati and said, well, there's a logistics company hiring. I'll give it a shot. And no lie, I said, I'm either going to be the best at this or I'll last 2 weeks and move into something else. You fast forward 15 years, I was one of the top brokers at TQL, built an extremely large book of business. Around 2010, they said, or not 2010, I started in 2008, but around 2010, they said, why don't we open a Tampa office? So we opened that office with about 6 guys, grew that to 250. A lot of success there. It's still humming just a few miles south of me right now. Great company, still have a lot of friends there. And about 2.5 years ago, I left to join Zelh. And then we're in the remote staffing space. I'd known the founder and one of the partners, Jeff, from Uber Freight for quite some time. So joined this team, and we've scaled that to around 850 employees spread across Eastern Europe, only focusing on.
I didn't realize you guys had that many employees. I mean, that's great growth.
Yeah, it's booming. I go over there, and the things that stand out to me, and this doesn't need to be all about Zelh, but the work ethic, the education, it's just different. Oftentimes when I hired domestically for entry-level roles, they didn't have the passion for it. They had no experience, and it was just, give me a job, and then I'm on to the next. They seem to look at it as more of a career. So it tends to be stickier. And as this industry, I think the landscape is changing a bit in this industry. I think it's a vital piece.
Now, I'm sure we'll get into your time at TQL and as a broker, but how hard of a decision? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people watching are maybe thinking this too. I mean, go from 15 years, being one of the top reps at a multi-billion-dollar company, used to brokering freight, doing that every day, and pivot into a totally near career. I mean, maybe walk some of the viewers through kind of that decision. I mean, I'm sure that was a massive one.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm the only one. If I can give some advice, that'd be amazing. So the first 6 to 7 years were brokering, and as a late 20s, younger 30s guy, you just think climb the corporate ladder, right? It's like that you're told to go into management. So that's what I did, and the book of business was spread out across other sales reps on my team, and so I became a manager. But I found out that, one, I don't think I'm the best manager. There's a lot of babysitting involved. There's a lot of noise, whereas sales guys aren't used to that. So went into management, spent a few years there, and was great at it. I'm not going to fail once I'm in a role, but I don't think it was my core competency. So then I moved into more customer interaction, where I would travel the country and meet with a lot of their large accounts, their enterprise level accounts, and say, here's what we're doing right, here's what we're doing wrong, here's where we can tweak it just a bit this way. And sometimes without the rep being present. And I think that's vital. Because if you bring the rep with you, they may say, I really like this guy, I'm afraid to say what I really, really feel. So I would go in and just dissect the whole relationship. And we ended up scaling some major accounts because of things like that. So that was the last role in the 15 years. And I just think that's more my flavor.
That's cool. So you talk about going in without the rep and then getting that, I don't know if you want to call it brutal honesty, but that's
Yes.
a concept, or, I hadn't thought about that, doing that. But that's a great idea. I mean, it's interesting. Kind of got my mind rolling for some of the barriers of, where they know this rep, they have a relationship, so they're kind of tiptoeing around their words rather than just kind of saying what it is. And you bring somebody that's kind of, objectively outside to kind of assess the situation. That's anybody listening, I think that's something to take note of.
That is extremely important, because as well as I do that if a visit is set up and you're going, they're going to coach their contact. They're going to say, well, hey, we're coming in, make sure you hype me up, this is my boss.
Yeah.
As if you just go in and say, listen, I'm on their side, but let's just they tend to be more open, and we got a lot more out of those visits.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like that could be nervous for the reps. Like, hey, they're going without me. Like, what are they going to say about me? What is, Are they going to come back and the customer going to tell the rep something? So I'm sure you have to handle that, very delicately too.
Well, you have to understand we're on the same team. I had their back, but I thought that I could get a bit more info that was more beneficial to the company than if they were sitting there. That's all. And then also sometimes, this person may have only been there for a year and a half. And I've got some pretty funny stories about walking into a conference room with some executives with a rep that had not been there very long. They were scared to death.
Yeah. I also think there's something to be said for just having a different perspective from somebody that's maybe dealing with it day to day versus somebody that, has the experience, but to come in and look at it from a new angle as opposed to kind of being in the weeds with it because you have all these, these ideas or experience with it. So you just see it a certain way as opposed to somebody coming in and just looking at it from a macro level and maybe being able to point out some things that nobody's seeing.
That's right. Me, you, and Matt could go into separate meetings with one customer and come out with different takeaways.
Yeah.
And there's value there. So I don't think it's often done enough because they'll just say, well, it's this person's client. We're going to visit them. Let's bring them along. So something to think about. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, so go ahead, Matt. I was going to bring up this question by Andre, so we can wait.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just going to ask, I was kind of going to, maybe this will pivot more into Andres' question too down the line, but let's pivot more into Zelh too. Now, how different was it getting into, obviously it's still sales, what you're selling to brokerages now instead of shippers, and selling like a total different product, staffing, how was that transition? Was it difficult at first? How did you kind of get through that? Were there some things that just opened your eyes or you're kind of shocked by, or maybe just kind of give people a little insight into that?
Yeah, it was very positive because I was still able to operate in the space. It's what I knew for the past 15 years. And it almost gave me more credibility. And I think there's enough business for everyone. The options in Colombia, Philippines, India are fantastic. Eastern Europe has a different flavor to it. And I was able to go in and say, my experiences hiring domestically gave me this. And when I meet with these individuals in Poland or Serbia, I get this. And so you're able to tell them, this is a gap you have. Why don't we plug it here? Or maybe you need, a more cost efficient solution for this task in Philippines or Colombia. It's the credibility, the experience, the having built it and having failed so many times. Even though we grew that office to 250, I can't tell you how many I had to interview to get to 250. Turnover was fairly high, but there were a lot of lessons learned in building to a team of that size.
So I like what you're saying about the different positions for different usage. So that's been my experience, and that's what I actively do. So as you know, I work with Zelh. We have I think 3 currently, and we have 2 more starting Monday. And I agree 100%. So Zelh, we use them for our carrier sales or the jobs that are maybe like higher level, need to be more proactive. And they're great. All the reps that we've had through Zelh really get after it. We use the Philippines for data entry, track and trace, maybe some after hours type stuff. And I've had a better experience. It's a little bit more cost effective for the Philippines for that stuff, but for the carrier salesman I go to, and I've worked with different vendors in this space, and I've settled on 2. So Zelh and Trio, different things, but similar but different, right? For different reasons.
Yep, you're exactly right. Trio is fantastic. When I travel over there, I remember I mentioned this to you, Will. I was just working out of an open desk, and the guy next to me was covering freight. I sat there for 3 days, 6-7 hours a day, and just listening to him. I just go, who in the heck are you? You are crushing it on the phones right now. And I told him, I was like, if this is what's available over here, you're crazy not to utilize that as a brokerage in the U.S.
Yeah. Are you talking about the one that we onboarded from Poland?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we onboarded a carrier sales rep that Chris that came highly recommended. He said, hey, I sat next to him for a little while. He's great. So the price is a little bit more than what we were paying, but if the value's there, it's not expensive, right? And he's great. He truly is, man. I put him into my ops team and another pretty guys that have been here for a while, their ops team, and nothing but excellent feedback. They're coming in my office like, man, he's an animal. Like he's great.
He really is.
He's awesome, man. We really like him.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a big thing to talk about too. I mean, when you're going offshore, I mean, it might seem like $500 is a big difference in pricing, but I talk to people from different nearshoring or bad experiences too. They hire somebody with very little experience, needs a lot of training, and sure, it might be $500 less. But I mean, even our agents, we have some agents that use some virtual assistants. They're paying like $1,000, $1,200 a month, and they're getting great deals. But they're pretty hands-on with their virtual assistants, and it's a lot of training. They don't want to pay the $2,500, $3,000, but there's a lot more involvement than you have to have, which I think people have to consider.
I think again, like Will said, it comes down to the role. If all you need is someone to reach out, track and trace, or retrieve some BOLs, then find the most cost-effective solution. But when it comes to something that's more revenue driving, then I want some experience, and I think that's where we come in, and it's a great option. I do think, and I said this, goodness, a year and a half, 2 years ago when I was on another show, this landscape is changing from the big box, bring in as many bodies as you can. It's becoming more efficient. Let's bring in the hunters, take everything off their plate, let them run, let them do what they're best at, and then find the most cost-effective solutions behind the scenes, whether it's domestic or offshore.
Yeah, that's what we've kind of pivoted towards. I do want to just say two things about what we're talking about, Matt, and then go for your question. So I think that for virtual assistant or maybe some of these other roles, as Chris said, if you can have the SOPs in place and they can refer to it, and maybe you have a group and they've got some, they're sitting in close proximity and they get some travel knowledge almost, and they can share that, it's fine. I think that a lot of the issues with some of those are actually on the customer's end of not giving them what they need to set them up for success. Because a lot of them, they won't have the experience. So when they come in and then, so I've been doing this for however long, so I expect this person from the Philippines that has no experience to just like know this stuff that they don't. So you need to kind of like set them up for success, right? And if not, it's going to be an issue.
That's right.
But Zelh, man, they do come with experience to plug and play, and we don't have to train. So that's really nice, just the time. If you bring somebody into the U.S. for the most part for carrier sales, I'm going to have to train them. So it's like, man, I just add them into Slack and give them some truck.bat logins, TMS, and they're booking loads within like an hour.
Yep, that's right. And then Matt, you know this just from when you're so consistent on LinkedIn with the agent versus W-2, you hear the pain points all the time. And it's usually it pains me to hear a broker say, I could take more freight, but I don't have the support to cover it. Because those are the good ones where their reputation is on the line, where there are other brokers that go, I'll just take them all and I'll hand them back. Whereas the really good ones say, man, I took these 20, they have 10 more, but I know I can only cover 20. If I had the support, I could cover the other 10. And so that's where you got to start looking at just how much revenue is being left on the table because of support.
That's a huge thing. How is the sales aspect too? Because we were I agree with Will's point. I mean, it does depend too on the company, and the company has a lot to do with it too. And I'm not you're way more familiar with this than me, which is why I'm curious your thought. But I mean, 10 years ago, nearshoring, offshoring wasn't really a thing. Like when companies like Lean came in and took a lot of, the market share. Now there's, I don't know how many. I hear of like a new offshore, nearshore company every day. And now a lot of these companies, they have teams in place. And I feel like sometimes it's like Will's kind of an exception. He uses 2 offshore companies, but I know a lot of companies, it's difficult to use multiple ones and manage that. So they maybe just go with one company. Like I could be wrong here, but I would think that what you're doing sales wise is maybe harder than even selling freight, even in this market, just because how much saturation is out there with the companies. And then that, there's a lot of them that have had their team in place, and some of them may even want to change, but the hassle to change 50 employees from one organization to another, can be a challenge. Like, kind of talk to me about kind of selling this, because I would think it's not the easiest sale in the world.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to the task that you're looking for. What really helps Zelh is the credibility. Myself, Jeff Ogren from Uber Freight, I mean, a decade plus of experience there, and then Tony Ratchison had a brokerage himself, Millhouse Logistics, and so the three of us together have done this before. Not to say that others haven't, but we're not just pitching individuals. We're saying, let's peek under the hood and see where you're short. Are you leaving freight on the table, or are brokers? I mean, I heard an instance today. A broker just said, if you could just take the paperwork off my plate, retrieving bills, it's like I could take more freight because he's responsible for, he's cradle to grave. He has to do it all. And so once you start approaching it from that lens, instead of, hey, here's a body, do you need one? We'll replace it. It'll cost this instead of this. It's a bit more of a custom solution, I guess. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but that's what it is. Let's see what you need and find someone that can do it. And it may not be in Eastern Europe. It may be Colombia. It may be Philippines. I don't know, but that's our approach. And it's certainly probably a bit easier than selling trucks in this market. I feel bad for a lot of the brokers these days.
I'll say, so as a customer, what's sold me, or like what sells me with Zelh, what I think about it is quality. It's not ever about price or this or that. It's always like, we have talent. We have plug and play talent. So if and when you need it, we can find it. So that's what I think of when I think about Zelh. And you guys do it, again, outside perspective, just seeing you guys around LinkedIn, talking to you, do a really good job of kind of making that what it seems like the main selling point is just the talent. You don't get lost in the weeds of this or that or this or that. It's just kind of, like, we have talent, we can get it for you, quality.
That's right. And that's any sales. And Will, I know I've talked to you about the unreasonable hospitality and everything, that it's what is everyone else doing, and then do it differently. And that was our approach when I was thinking, okay, 15 years here, this is quite the leap. But then I started looking into it. Of course, I knew Jeff and Tony and had complete trust in those guys, but I said, everyone else seems to be pitching individuals, just saying, here's someone. I said, what if we instead pitch quality, and we just go over the top with the service and say, we only bring in logistics professionals, people who have worked, that have covered freight, that have done track and trace, all those things. And it was well received. I mean, we've had clients that went from, okay, Chris, I trust you. We'll start with 2. And you fast forward to today, and there's over 100 with a very large brokerage that says this is the best decision we made. The savings, when you get into that number, the savings for a brokerage are immense. And in this market, they are poised to skyrocket when it does flip.
Yeah, well, imagine the personal touch too is when you have 850 employees. Like, this is to say nothing bad about Lean. I mean, we've been using Lean; they're great, but
great,
like,
yeah.
We have 20 reps through Lean. We're small potatoes, to Lean solutions. Whereas, I think one advantage to what kind of you're saying here with quality too is, someone like Will, who he is, or somebody that has 10 people with them, that's something you can do when you're still at that, 850. And that's, again, not to say anything bad about Lean. They can't control that, but that's, the personal touch is probably a lot easier too.
Yeah. Will does a good job. He makes it personal. He posts pictures of, I mean, I don't know half that equipment he's shipping on flatbeds, but it's big and it's not easy.
A lot of times I don't know what it is. I'm just more slack.
But he makes it personal. And so if you called me, like if I was shipping that heavy equipment and he kept posting things, I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. Like, he goes a mile deep on this kind of freight. And that's what you look for.
Yeah. So I'll say, Matt, to your point of if and when you get so big that it's hard to be personal, you can still establish people to be so, like with Zelh, and Chris, interrupt me if I misspeak at any moment. But it seems like my understanding is we have like I don't know if you call him an HR rep, like a coordinator, right? Who's basically assigned to Black Box. So that individual provides that personal touch. And I'd imagine that the culture has been instilled across the organization that, like, this is how we treat our customers, this is how we act. So it doesn't have to be just Chris with all of his customers, kind of similar to, man, backtrack all the way to TQL. You start getting these accounts and you get sales reps underneath you and you instill how you operate. And then you got, 8 Chris's cloned, which is really how you scale.
Yes.
I think you can maintain that personal touch regardless of size if you scale the right way.
Yes, that's exactly right. I had, when I had the personal book of business, it was cradle to grave, and there were 4 to 5. I think I at one point had, starting out, 55 customers, and I said, let's find the really good ones here. And we found 4 to 5 that everyone would know their name. And I said, I can't keep up with this, so let's hand it out to 1, 2, 3, 4, and those things blew up. And that's what you do. That's for the good of the company. When you start doing those things, they scaled to a level that I could have never done it myself. And if you take that mindset, no matter what job you're in, just say, hey, I'm good at this. Can I replicate? Like Will was saying, that's how you really scale, because one person can only do so much.
We brought in an operations manager from Chattanooga, actually, and he had spent some time at some pretty big brokerages. And one big thing that when we onboarded him, he kept saying, train your replacement, right? And and that's what it makes me think of. It's like, okay, if I'm doing this today, I don't want to be doing this like maybe a year from now. Like, how do I pass this on to somebody else and then pass it on so there's, the pie gets bigger, as opposed to just like, I'm still taking this piece of the pie every day.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then promote them before they're ready. That's when they're gonna sink or swim. I love that idea of, who they are. I mean, Will, you got guys in your office, you think, I think he's a future leader. Promote him before he's ready, and he'll either really shine or he'll show you he's not a leader. And
I like that. Yeah, if you wait until that they are ready, that they might leave.
They'll leave. They'll leave. They'll go, I'm really good, and they'll get cocky and arrogant, and you don't want that.
Yeah, wherever the comfort zone is, not past it.
Yeah,
you see that a lot in agent recruiting. I mean, sometimes people leave, get their W-2 because they don't think there's a path forward to leadership, and they're like, well, I might as well do my own thing. So very true.
Yeah, that's right.
You want to get to some of these comments, Will?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna go back to 4 because the last one's an actual question. This is from Clay. Clay, thanks for tuning in. This is back. He says, Chris, 100% agree with what you said. I've switched my hiring strategy to exactly that. I think he's referring to building around the sales reps. And then he says, let's go, fellas. Hope you all had a great week. Clay, we hope that you had a great week. And then we've got a question from Andres, who's actually with Trio. So I work with Andres for this people. But he says, how do you handle turnover with that many employees and cope with labor laws in Europe?
That's probably more of an HR question, Andres. And I will say this, as far as how do we handle, let me backtrack. Turnover in Eastern Europe for us, believe it or not, it's around 8% right now.
Yep.
And measure that with, I think my last year at TQL was 76% turnover, around that, call it 75 to 80%. Mm-hmm. It was tough to keep people. I mean, but again, hiring different types of talent. I've got a kid right out of USF with no logistics experience who says, I'll give it a shot, versus someone in Eastern Europe who's worked at Landstar and Kuehne+Nagel and says, this is my career. So they tend to stick. But as far as how it's handled, you kind of mentioned earlier, we have account managers, HR individuals. I don't get too involved in that, but turnover is low. And the client that I mentioned earlier with over 100 has lost 1 in 8 months.
Yeah. So with logistics,
did you take them from another logistics provider, or were they new to nearshoring altogether?
They had, and I think they still are, kind of like you were saying, use multiple providers. They are still using, but now what I love about it, I thought this would happen, is I said, well, just compare. And they started with 2 or 3, and all of a sudden when you've got provider A over here and it's fluctuating turnover through the roof, and you've got this one continuing to build and you've only lost 1, guess what's going to happen? Provider A is going to shift over to provider B. And that's how we've really grown. So it's a testament to the talent. It's a testament to the infrastructure that we have in place over there. I think it's a pretty high barrier to entry to build a Eastern European presence, in Poland specifically. But
Yeah, I think with logistics turnover in general, it's always, everybody knows it's high, right? But if you took away maybe like 6 months to a year and then looked at it, I don't think it's that high. I think all the turnover retention numbers are skewed to hell and back, because it's just like, yeah, I mean, like you get somebody that doesn't know anything about logistics and they're in the sales role, and so many people don't make it, say, 3 months. But if and when they get past 6 months, I would be interested to see and know the statistics of logistics retention past a year.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like it's so tough to everybody. It is high, but past a certain point, I think it's pretty low.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost like if you made it to the NFL, you're probably pretty good. But it's very hard to get there.
Yeah.
I am curious too about because this happens in the agent space too, where a similar idea, if somebody's a current agent, say come and take 1 or 2 customers here, compare us to your current agency, which is kind of like what you described there. Now, some agent programs, like we don't have an exclusivity contract, so we can do that. Now, is exclusivity contracts, like, I'm thinking maybe they're not a thing in nearshoring, like some agent programs try to do, because, you know, Will's saying he's working with multiple companies. You're saying that, are those common in that space or not really?
I would hope not. That's a good question. I think it would be a bit. I don't like the thought of that, because like we talked about earlier, what if I want to use Zelh for load coverage because they have experience, but I don't want to pay $3,000 a month for somebody just to chase down BOLs. So you're kind of hurting yourself, right?
Yeah.
By saying I can't use someone else.
No, I agree with that. I was just, we don't have one, but I was just curious if other companies are trying to do that if that was a thing in the space, because it is in the agent space, like 50-50. Half the agent programs have it and half don't. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure on that. So I don't come across it.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I like the idea of using multiple. I mean, I've already kind of explained our logic behind it, and I think, Chris, we align with that. Yeah. It's kind of similar to I don't know, man, with like any like buying decision. Maybe say we're gonna maybe try to connect this to being a shipper with no shipper experience. But say I'm a shipper, right? I might want to use Black Box for some open deck flatbed, because that's what we do and we're good at it. But if I have this, you know, like this reefer load, I probably want to go with the reefer guy. So, I mean, like what am I trying to buy, and, you know, who does that well price wise for what it is? Like, again, because agreed. I don't want to pay, say, $3,000 to track down BOLs when you can pay 16. It's not a high level role.
That's right.
So, but if they're booking the trucks and they're going to, you know, cover that 3,000, then some, it makes sense. So
yeah,
with any buying decision, there's more than just price, right? You need to really evaluate the value, the time, and everything that's going into it, and that really kind of changes the discussion.
It does, and this is good. This is a good exercise talking through this, where, you know, TQL, for instance, was primarily a reefer broker in their early days. And they said, we're going to get really good at this. They mastered that. Then they said, well, let's bring on some drive-in freight and some flatbed freight. And that's how it's focus on what you're really good at, instead of just saying we do it all. And that would be my tip to a brokerage or a broker. It's just, what are you good at? Don't say you can get every lane or you can do every mode. Say that, you know what, this is where I'm good at. I have a lot of carriers in Florida. And if you drill in that way on an RFP, then I think you'll get a lot more feedback and a lot more freight than just saying, I can do all these and here are my quotes for all the lanes and all.
People are more receptive too, because if you can do everything, then you probably can't really do anything
really good.
Anytime somebody's like, yeah, like whatever you need, it's like, well, I don't want anything from you. A very specific thing, and like we're talking about it, you sound like you know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
Any new brokers listening, like there's so much out there and so many different types of freight. Like you don't need to be bounced around from, you know, like cold calling or a reefer company to like a RG, you know, like all this different freight. Just like find one freight, get some business, and then expand from there.
That's what I did. I didn't know what I was doing, and I said, okay. I mean, after I finished my sales training, they set up a desk and one monitor and a phone with no auto dialer, and they said, good luck. Yeah. Well, all I know is I'm from Kentucky, so I'm going to call shippers in Kentucky and I'm going to talk to them. And I branched out from there because I learned, and I said, well, hey, this is what goes on here. Here's what they really look for. So just start with what you're good at. Don't just start dialing for dollars all over the country. And you'll find out though that if you do it enough times, you get pretty dang good at it.
Yeah. It'll cut down the ramp time and your speed to proficiency to understand, one type of freight and like one type of customer as opposed to trying to learn 20 at once.
That's right. Yep.
Much more efficient.
Yep. Certainly.
What about sales roles? So we've had a couple nearshore companies on, and are you seeing more customers open to sales roles, like actual broker roles? And we're talking a lot about different roles here. Are you seeing more customers open to that through Zelh, or is it still mainly carrier sales, track and trace, accounting, or are more sales roles companies doing more open to that?
Yeah, again, to my point earlier, people ask for it quite a bit. And a lot of people go, yeah, we can do it. And I say, no, I don't think it's a good idea.
We had this conversation.
Yeah.
I reached out to Chris about this.
Yeah. I think the sales roles are best domestic. I think of myself in the shipper shoes. And if I'm getting a call from someone overseas that maybe doesn't know, maybe they do know them, it doesn't hit home like it does as far as if I've got someone here domestically. And so that goes back to, let's get the best salespeople here in the US and take everything off their plate, let them run because they're really good at it. We've tried it a few times where customers insisted. I gave them the warning as we're not making any promises. They'll hustle, but I don't think the results are there. So I just be a little wary.
But that's great because a lot of companies, if and when there's an opportunity, and again, I'm going to connect this to brokerage, right? Everybody wants to be a yes man. Like all the business is good business. So yes, Black Box reached out to Chris and Zelh, and we were just exploring it, right? It's not like we really wanted it or needed it, but we're like, hey, maybe this is a thing, and we wanted an outside sales rep to kind of get a lead or a prospect to a qualified stage and then pass it off to an in-house. And yes, your feedback was super important, and those kind of conversations are what makes me, or I gain a lot of respect for whoever the salesman is on the other end saying like, no, this isn't a good idea. Not saying like we won't do it, but kind of giving that warning, just being like, this isn't what you want, as opposed to just like, yeah, like we'll do it, we want to bill you.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that a lot, and I think that's man, I mean that's so relevant to all kinds of sales, because again, if you just say yes to if you say yes to everything and you can't do it, then like you kind of, I don't want to say you burn the bridge, but people aren't going to respect what you say as much.
Yes, you're going to earn so much more respect. And that happened on the brokerage side. A large shipper would have 30 loads going out on Christmas Eve. And they'd say, Chris, we got to get them out tonight. I think there were brokers that this was at 3:00 in the afternoon. And I think there were brokers that would say, send over all 30, we'll get them done. And I took the approach of let's do this. Let's get this many through the door and we'll keep going. And there was so much respect, and the amount of revenue that came from that interaction. It wasn't skinning the sheep one time. I could have absolutely said that and we would have had a great week. But we left money on the table that week. We serviced the client, and guess who they went to every other time? That's how you do it. And I don't think it's done often enough.
All right, Clay's heading out. Got to jump, fellas. Appreciate the shout out. As always, glad to learn about Zelh. Pleasure to hear from you, Chris. Clay,
Nice.
Appreciate you tuning in.
Appreciate you tuning in, Clay.
Yeah, no, that's great stuff, and so important for anybody in our audience listening that maybe you're not just getting started out. Maybe you've been doing this for a while and you have a tendency to be a yes man, and it's burned you a few times. You don't have to say yes all the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Be okay with saying no. How's the market looking? Are we going to turn around the other way, or is it still?
Dude, we had our best week ever last week, and it was about 30% higher revenue and margin any other week. So I don't know. It might have just been a good week for us. We onboarded a couple of guys that they're really good. They've been doing it like 10 years. We had something work out where they came over, so that gave us a big bump. But
Nice.
I don't know, we're picking up. We're busy, but I think that's more so us taking load share from people as opposed to there being more load share out there.
That's
It's the
exciting.
same with the agent path. I mean, you're signing a lot of people that have existing relationships. So, but new sales are still tough. But
Now on the agency side, I mean, you're more of an expert on this than I am, Matt. When you find an agent who is, for whatever reason, upset or has a pain point with agency A, are they able to bring books over, or is it more just I'm gonna start from scratch and rebuild because I'm really confident in what I do?
I will say a lot more books transfer over on the agent side than W-2 recruiters may see, because them, like, if you're a good sales rep, sure, maybe a W-2 company can give you, a 20K raise or 5% more, but they run into things I don't run into as often. Like, you get some W-2 rep who exaggerates his ability and wants 150 grand salary, $200,000 salary, then produces nothing in 4 months and gets fired. A lot of people are more on the cautious side, so they have some confidence that they're going to transfer over either XYZ. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but a lot more transfers than people would think. But also because you're dealing more with SMB a lot of times, where it's a lot easier onboarding. Like, if you're transferring over an enterprise shipper, it's a lot more. I've seen it done, but it's a lot more complex and a lot more tricky because a million different people to go through. There's usually a bid cycle. Maybe they only onboard people once a year. It's a lot. I'd say it's a lot easier with Joe's produce company down in Texas.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that makes sense because they're loyal. Those SMBs are loyal to the individual and not the company. So yeah, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, Chris, it sounded like you were asking like agency to agency. So am I right? Like, you're asking if an agent has it. So for the most part, like what Black Box was set up on when we got started with the agency route was a mutual non-solicit. So if and when we decide to pull our customers from that agency, there are customers. We could bring them over, granted, as long as we could onboard them somewhere else and they couldn't touch them. And any accounts that we came across from working with them, we couldn't touch either. I think that's the pretty standard setup. Matt, would you agree? Like, if it's an agent, they have their book, they have an issue with that agency, and now HD Ships is going to come after, like, try to get them. There's usually no red tape for their customers.
Oh, there's no non-competes or no non. So I think he's more asking, like, does all the book transfer over from one agency to another? And I think that was more the question. But yeah, no agent program, reputable agent program I know has a non-compete or non-solicit. We were talking about earlier where the interesting part is the exclusivity. We don't have an exclusivity. Probably half of agent programs don't, but some do. But I know we're running out of time. There's one thing I'm surprised we haven't hit on, but I think we should, because it's a big topic. Is AI and all these AI carrier sales, coming in, big money being raised. You're seeing it all on LinkedIn. You hear mixed things. We've had some of these founders on our show, and obviously they're very bullish about it. But the other week I was talking to a top 100 executive, and the data on that was pretty bad in terms of how many carriers were just hanging up on the phone with these AI bots. They said it was good success with emails, but you hear mixed things depending on who you're. Is that affecting you guys at all, or is that a conversation that's coming up with prospects? Or just talk about that whole thing and how it's affect to nearshore, because obviously carrier sales reps is a big part of your business.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say on that, and I won't take too much time, but I'll give you an example. It has been very popular over the last year and a half, 2 years, and there are some extremely intelligent people building this stuff. I don't think they're great people for the most part. One example I'll give is I was interested in it early on, go back a year or so ago, and I said, this is interesting. So they were doing one of the voice agents that was covering freight. And I said, okay, can you give me some data on how many loads were covered in this week and what the margins were? And their first response was, we don't measure that. And I go, okay, well, what do you measure? Just outbound dials. And I didn't insult them, but there's no money in outbound dials. The money is in covering the load and making the margin. So I don't think that there are enough logistics folks behind it. And then I'll go a step further and say, I think there are certain tasks that are appropriate for the AI. If it is automating emails going out and asking for a BOL that hasn't come in from a carrier, 100%. send that email out, request it, say, hey, this load delivered 5 days ago. We still haven't seen it. Would you mind sending it in? That is making a rep more efficient. That leads to my final point. So what I think the ultimate win with AI is to take an individual and enhance them. So kind of what I was just saying, if you've got someone who is chasing down invoices or billing, or I'm hesitant on the load coverage side. I don't think carriers like it too much. But if you've got someone doing manual tasks and they normally do, just call it 100 a week, what if we bolt some AI onto that individual, help them so that all of a sudden they're doing 150, 200 a week? So I don't like the thought of just strict AI or strict human. I think a combination of both is big. And I've heard the same feedback you all are hearing. If a truck driver gets a call from a voice bot, no matter how real it sounds, they're apprehensive on that stuff, man. And I just don't think I think you start on the more simple tasks. But they're raising millions and millions of dollars. So who am I to knock it?
Honestly, I don't know. It's more interesting for me as an observer to see. But there's so many nearshore companies growing. I don't imagine it's having too much of an effect. Like you guys aren't losing 100 employees one day because the company decided to go to AI carrier sales, I'd imagine.
No, it's quite the opposite. They realize there's still in this industry, there's still a very important human element involved. So I think we'll be okay.
I would even say, so if and when it does start replacing any nearshore offshoring, that would be kind of the last because of the reps that, again, it's a lot of the higher level reps. So at least me, if I would think about deploying any kind of AI, it would be for some simple tasks like maybe track and trace.
Yeah.
Or, like carrier, like some super low hanging fruit. And I'm sure you guys have some track and trace guys, but for the most part, like Zell's people are doing higher level tasks. So yeah, you guys are safe.
Yeah, and you can do little things. I mean, you can integrate the AI with a human and say, instead of them having to go and post the load, you can integrate some AI to where they just give a command and the AI takes over and goes and does all those tasks. Like go and post the load, put this range in. So maybe it only saves them 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But it's a combination instead of just a strict silo of AI versus staffing. So
I agree. The enhancement.
That's what it is. That's the win.
Get more utility out of your current, how do you set them up for success to maybe like take on more again, like rep can't because this paperwork, how do we take that off?
That's right.
Be interesting to see what happens there, right? I mean, yeah, everybody's raising money. There's a new one every week. We'll see who's still standing in a few years. Yeah, I'm sure that some people will be successful and some won't.
Let's start one tomorrow. We'll raise about 500 million, 3 of us, and
and we'll move to Colombia. Matt has plenty of land. We'll be good.
Oh, we got to end with this. How is it visiting Eastern Europe? I'm glad Will brought that up. How is it like? Visit? Do you have a lot of clients that go over there and visit? What's the?
We've had a few that chose to build out like I said, starting team of 5 or 7, and they said we'd like to go over and train in person, and they love it. I absolutely love it. I would live there. The people are incredibly nice. They are educated. The food's fantastic. Clean city. I mean, I can't complain. But
probably safer than Colombia, I'd imagine too. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't been, but I would guess yes, that's the case.
Yeah.
Not that Colombia is not. I was totally safe there and enjoyed my time there. But I was just saying, from a national perspective, I'm sure Europe has a little higher safety ratings.
Yeah, I think so. But I'll go with you next time you go down. Check it out.
Sounds good. Well, do you have anything else? Well, I mean, the hour kind of flew by. I learned a lot. We covered a lot.
No, Chris, thanks for joining us. If you want to kind of get some plugs out there, where can people contact Zelh, find you, all that good stuff before we wrap up?
Yeah, no, I love talking to you guys. Just ZellLogistics.com, ZELH Logistics. So you'll see our contact info on there, and would love to talk if you're interested. So thanks, guys.
Well, thanks, Chris. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Chris. That was fun.
Yeah, man. He's a good guest. lots of experience and knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, hey, before I'm going to do this one, before we wrap up, we got to talk about, we're going to talk about our sponsors. And the first, Black Box Logistics, recently named the People's Choice 3PL, just a stout organization, a great freight brokerage out of Birmingham, Alabama. You can take the rest.
Okay. All right. Glad you got that out of the way. You didn't let me skip that over. HD Ships out of Reno. You're looking to be a freight agent. I'd love to chat with you. We do have a W-2 program too. I don't know if we're hiring at but we are a split in that sense. We have a W-2 and an agent model. Sales Dash CRM, Freight Specific CRM. Josh is moving to Tampa actually as well. Tampa's becoming a hot spot, but definitely hit them up if you're looking for a CRM. Josh used to be a broker. Drew's a great rep. Will and I met them both actually in Birmingham last year. It was hard to believe. That was a year ago that I was in Birmingham already. It was like,
yeah,
it was October of last year, wasn't it? Or like the first week in November, because it was right after your opening.
Yeah, it was sometime in October. So yeah, pretty much a year.
Wow, it's crazy. That was a year ago. Shout out to Tafts as well, top 10 factoring company. Great guys over there. Ryan and Rob, great rates, great customer service. Definitely reach out to them if you're looking for a factoring company.
Awesome. Well, that'll do it for this week. We'll be back at it next week. Matt, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the golf. Hit them straight.
You playing?
No, not this weekend. You watching?
What are you doing?
Watching
Football?
a football. Yeah.
You can do both. You just got to get like a 7 a.m. tee time, 7, 8 a.m. tee time. You get in time for football. You get up at like 5 anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm planning on having a nice relaxing weekend, not doing too much. So, but who knows? I could end up out there. I'll keep you posted.
Sounds good. I'm sure Logan will be out there. Tell him good luck on the course.
Yeah, he'll be out there. All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, talk soon.